Charlie spots Emma at a cafe. And he takes this covert photo of the book she's reading, quickly looks it up on his phone, and then walks up to strike up a conversation.
And her reaction is equally interesting. She completely ignores him. So he retreats, totally embarrassed, assuming everyone in the cafe is staring at him. But he rallies, tries again, and apologizes. And that's when she takes out her headphones and reveals she wasn't ignoring him at all. She's actually deaf in one ear.
And she literally says to him, "Can we start over?" So they connect, jump forward 2 years, and they are deep in the chaotic, stressful throes of wedding planning.
Charlie is museum director, and he's struggling with his groom's speech. He's bouncing ideas off his best man, Mike. He wants to talk about that fake book interaction at the cafe. He's even, considering making jokes about their sex life.
Oh, good.
Which Mike quickly vetoes as a terrible idea for a crowd full of parents.
Yeah, good call by Mike.
Yeah.
And Emma is equally stressed out. She's in tears just trying to write her vows, getting advice from her maid of honor, Rachel, and their boss, Alice. They tell her to focus on something funny, like their first kiss, which, by the way, is a wild story itself.
Oh, the museum incident.
Right. It happened when Charlie accidentally got them trapped between security gates at the British Museum. The alarm is just blaring, they're physically stuck, and in the sheer confusion and panic of the moment, they kiss. Yeah, they're struggling with their wedding dance routine, and Emma complains that it feels fake.
And the trainer snaps back, all weddings are performative.
And that performance is about to crack wide open. Because the catalyst isn't actually the rehearsal dinner itself, it's what happens right before it. Charlie and Emma are walking through a public park on their way to the dinner, and they spot the DJ they hired for their wedding, a woman named Pauline.
And Pauline is casually smoking heroin on a park bench.
Right, so they get to the rehearsal dinner with their best friends, Mike and Rachel, who are married to each other, by the way, and they tell them about the DJ things. Emma's defense of one bad thing triggers this incredibly dark party game.
The worst kind of game.
Literally. They start going around the table asking, "What is the worst thing you have ever done?"
Mike goes first, reluctantly. He confesses that during a dog attack on a date years ago, he used the girl he was with as a human shield. Then Rachel goes. She admits that as a kid, she locked a slow boy from her neighborhood in a cupboard at an abandoned place. When he started screaming, she got scared and just ran away. A whole search party had to be organized to find him.
A horrifying lack of empathy from a child, sure, but again, relegated to the past. A childhood mistake born of panic and poor impulse control. Then Charlie admits he cyberbullied a kid so relentlessly that the kid's entire family had to move away. And then it's Emma's turn.
She confesses that as a child, she planned a school shooting.
Boom. And it wasn't just a fleeting, angry thought. She tells them she actively prepared for it.
Yeah, she used her father's military rifle to practice.
That is how she went deaf in 1 ear. She fired the rifle too close to her head during a practice run. It wasn't a birth defect like she had told Charlie.
The reaction in the room is exactly what you would expect when a bomb goes off. Charlie literally laughs.
Because what else do you do?
Right. His brain cannot compute the data it's receiving, so it defaults to assuming it's a very dark joke. But Rachel, the maid of honor, has a visceral reaction.
Because her own cousin Samantha was paralyzed in a real school shooting.
Exactly. The tension just snaps. Rachel is furious. Emma is scrambling and trying to backtrack, saying she didn't actually go through with it. But the physical anxiety of the moment is so intense that Emma literally throws up.
The dinner is instantly over. The group just scatters. Charlie wakes up terrified. He's just had a nightmare about a shooter attacking their wedding. He fully expects Emma to have packed her bags and fled. Or maybe he expects the police to be at the door.
But instead he walks out and she is just sitting there.
Yeah. He brings her coffee. They are forced to just sit in the incredibly uncomfortable reality of her confession.
And when Charlie confronts her privately about it later, she doesn't just cry. She physically starts vomiting from the stress of talking about it.
Yeah, she confesses that after a childhood move, she dealt with severe isolation and bullying. And that made this dark idea feel attractive or even cool to her.
They're with a wedding photographer who innocently talks about shooting their family. Standard photography jargon.
Right, totally normal thing to say in that context.
Yeah, but Charlie suddenly just pictures younger Emma holding a gun.
And worse.
Yeah, we see her snap at a driver, and later, during intimacy, she actually slaps Charlie.
Which he shuts down instantly.
He does. Young Emma was literally trying to record her manifesto video, but her computer kept malfunctioning. While Emma was planning this, a real shooting occurred at a different school nearby, and Emma actually points out, this very strange, pedantic detail, that it technically wasn't a mass shooting because only 3 people died, not 4. But the aftermath of that neighboring shooting is what changes her trajectory. So she enters grief counseling and she bonds with the survivors.
And during a class debate where a student assumes shooters are always male, Emma actually corrects them with historical examples of female shooters.
Right, and that specific dark knowledge actually catches a classmate's attention. He recruits her, she joins a gun control advocacy group, organizes protests, and physically throws her rifle away.
Which brings us back to the present. After this whole confession, she just hugs Charlie tightly.
He begins seeing threats everywhere. The invisible has become visible to him. He finds a coffee mug in their apartment that just has a picture of a gun on it, and he throws it straight in the trash. He is so deeply rattled by his own suspicions about Emma's past that he actually deletes a section of a speech he wrote about her simply because it contained the word empathetic.
Wow, yeah. Charlie is getting dressed, and Emma startles him by walking in holding a knife.
And she even points it at him, right?
Yes, she does. And when she asks if he's scared, he verbally denies it, but he is visibly, physically shaken. When her boss, Alice, asks about bringing Emma's friend Rachel onto a project, Emma preemptively strikes.
She lies to her boss, right?
Exactly. She lies, claiming Rachel struggles with deadlines, effectively torpedoing her friend's opportunity.
It's a preemptive strike born from total isolation. And the domestic fallout is brutal. They're in bed, intimacy completely fails, and Charlie blames what he calls the incident.
Which just hangs there as this massive, unresolved trauma.
So they try to fix it with these bizarre coping mechanisms. They go out to a bar, Emma tries to role play as a stranger to spice things up, and Charlie just deflects. He tries to be funny, but clumsily ends up injuring her. Rachel finds out Emma sabotaged her job, and she calls a meeting with Charlie and his friend Mike.
Yeah, and she flat out refuses to be the maid of honor at their wedding. This is a massive psychological breaking point for Charlie.
Because he's backed into a corner, right?
Right. He has to pick a side. He mounts this desperate defense of Emma, using her childhood trauma to excuse the betrayal. He rationalizes that, lots of people have dark thoughts, but they live normal lives and never act on them. And Rachel sees right through it.
Good for her.
Definitely. She remains entirely unconvinced, leaving the confrontation unresolved and saying she needs to consult her sister Samantha before making any commitments. There's this incredibly awkward moment where he completely botches an attempt to explain something about Emma to Samantha.
Oh, yeah. At work, a mysterious book arrives in the mail filled with pictures of women holding guns, and it completely spooks him.
He needs a moral baseline. So he turns to his coworker, Misha, who's also referred to as Missy, and he asks her what her worst deed is.
And she admits she cheated on a really nice guy because the sex was bad and chose someone who treated her terribly. He asks, what if your current boyfriend, Blake, planned a school shooting? What would you do?
And Missy doesn't hesitate. She says she'd call the police. And Charlie, wildly, starts defending this hypothetical boyfriend. He argues, but he didn't do it. He changed his mind. He regrets it. What are the police going to arrest him for?
And Missy delivers the crushing blow. She looks at Charlie's logic and says, isn't that how a psychopath wants you to think?
Oof. That specific sentence shatters him because it voices his exact underlying fear that he's being manipulated by a predator. Charlie just breaks down crying right there in the office.
Yeah.
Missy, trying to be a good person, leans in to console him. And Charlie completely misreads the signal. He kisses her, and then suddenly Charlie escalates it aggressively, violently tears her blouse.
He snaps out of it almost instantly and apologizes, but the damage is absolutely done.
And we see the fallout of this on the actual wedding day. Charlie and Emma confront the wedding DJ, Pauline.
Yeah, for smoking where she shouldn't be. Emma is arguing, but Charlie, who is normally a pretty talkative guy, is completely paralyzed.
He doesn't say a single word.
And Emma furiously fires the DJ right on the spot. Wedding ceremony officially begins, the bride and groom kiss. Then the guests arrive. Missy shows up with her boyfriend, Blake, who is highly aggressive right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Rachel, the maid of honor, who now hates the bride, is there. She actually tried to back out earlier because she's so disgusted by Emma, but Charlie literally begged her to stay.
But her maid of honor speech is dripping with passive aggression. She tells the crowd she was surprised to be asked because Emma doesn't have any real friends, and she vaguely calls Emma complex.
She's brutal. But the masterpiece of dramatic irony goes to Emma's father.
Oh man, this speech.
He stands up to give his speech. He's a military man. He starts affectionately recalling Emma's rebellious phase. He talks about her gun control activism, how proud he was, even mentioning how he had to pick her up from the police station for throwing eggs at a Walmart because they sold guns.
It's agonizing to watch. The crowd thinks it's this charming story of youthful passion. But Charlie, and you, the listener, know the horrifying origin of that activism.
And then the father casually drops a punchline. He jokes that it was her way of rebelling against her military dad, noting that right around that time, his service rifle coincidentally went missing. And it finally shatters when Emma goes to the bathroom.
Yeah, Emma is in a bathroom stall and overhears two women talking. One of them is Missy, the coworker Charlie assaulted, and Missy is whispering about a school shooting.
Emma just panics. Her ultimate fear is that her parents, who were sitting just feet away in the reception hall, will find out what she almost did with her father's gun. Her survival instinct kicks in, but it's totally erratic and paranoid.
She drags Charlie and Missy into a private room. She thinks Missy is gossiping about her secret. She demands to know what Missy is telling people. Charlie is desperately trying to shut it down, but Emma pushes.
And Missy, completely confused by all this, drops the second bomb.
She reveals everything. Not only that Charlie was interrogating her about school shootings, but she confesses the rest. She tells Emma that Charlie broke down, they kissed, and he tore her blouse.
Emma is devastated.
Completely.
In her mind, she confessed her darkest truth and thought they were working through it. Instead, Charlie has been running around their lives, acting erratic, and physically betraying her.
And right at this crescendo of betrayal, Mike, the best man, walks into the room. He announces that it's time for the groom's speech.
The performance demands its next act.
Charlie is pushed out in front of the entire crowd, and he bombs. He gives the most disastrous speech imaginable. He rambles about their first meeting at the cafe, which falls totally flat.
Because it was a lie to begin with.
Right. Then he panics and starts talking about their sex life, which makes everyone cringe.
He is completely unmoored. He loses all filter. He starts publicly apologizing to Missy from the stage, insisting he didn't mean to hurt anyone, babbling about how he loves Emma.
And that is the match of the powder keg. Missy's boyfriend, Blake, explodes. He starts screaming at Charlie, screaming at the crowd. The facade of the wedding is completely gone. Blake storms the stage, and a massive, chaotic physical brawl breaks out between Blake and Charlie.
The physical violence at the end is almost a bizarre relief from the psychological violence of the preceding days.
Yeah.
It is the destruction of the performance made literal. The wedding is over.
Which brings us to the final scene, the aftermath. The wedding venue is completely destroyed. The guests are gone. We find Charlie bruised, beaten up, sitting entirely alone at a booth in a late-night diner. And Emma walks in. You expect her to scream or cry or throw her engagement ring at him.
But she doesn't.
No, she walks right past him to the counter, orders her food, and she turns, walks over to his booth, and asks if she can sit down.
She is initiating a role play, exactly like she tried to do earlier in the story. She sits down, looks at his bruised face, and pretends she is meeting him for the very first time. She echoes her line from the cafe. Can we start over?
Charlie looks at her.
Yeah.
And he plays along. He lies right to her face. He says he got his injuries saving a woman and a baby from a mugger. And they laugh. They sit there in the diner amid the wreckage of everything they know about each other, attempting to literally reset by playing fictional characters.
It is a profoundly unsettling ending. It speaks to the incredible lengths human beings will go to avoid the unbearable truth. They are choosing a comfortable fiction over a horrifying reality.
It really is. Which leaves us with something I want you to mull over long after you turn this off. Think about that worst thing you've ever done that we talked about at the beginning. Now think about the foundation of Charlie and Emma's relationship. When a bond is built on such dark foundational secrets and layered with such visceral betrayal, is hitting the reset button through roleplay a beautiful, desperate act of forgiveness? Or is it just the ultimate tragic performance of a couple who are simply too afraid to face reality?